Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Post Narcissist. I'm glad that you found us here on YouTube and have joined our tribe of survivors. This is going to be a new topic that I haven't touched on yet, so be sure to like and subscribe if you agree with some of the things I'm saying. I want to talk about the aging narcissist. You know, I'm witnessing my ex aging and how it must be affecting him. Because while we were together, he was always working out. He needed to work out at least once a day. So, and he was like a fitness trainer. So like he would train, his students and whatnot all day and then go have his own workout. So it was all about having just the absolute perfect body. And the pictures that I had to take of him were ridiculous. Thousands and thousands of pictures, and like for our YouTube channel, it was just relentless. But at the time when I was dating him, and married to him, he would pass it off like, well, this is part of the business, and that's how it got kind of cloaked to me that, he wasn't really being narcissistic with his body and his looks and his and his image. It was all about, doing it for the business and making money. And of course, I know now that he chose to do that, and it was part of his narcissistic traits. But an aging narcissist, like our society here doesn't really value the elderly and puts, a lot of care into that. I think they do in other parts of the world, like I know like places like China and Japan, they respect their elders and it's all about taking care of their grandparents. But here in like the Western world, when we hear someone elderly talking, especially it for a lot of times it just sounds like they're talking trash, like they're grumbling old men sometimes. So like I think society as a whole does not value an aging person as much as we don't seek out the elderly to get advice from them. We go for people that look like they have lots of experience but are still youthful, and we want their advice. We tend to seek advice from people that we want to be, not from people who used to be what we wanted to be, type thing. And like that's just like the harsh truth of how we are in our society. So for a narcissist, that's got to be something extremely scary. Doesn't matter how successful that they are in their career or how much money they have. If you're starting to get older and aging, just the feeling of everyone kind of slipping away and not fueling you and not seeking you out, just for the fact that you're getting older, must be devastating to them, And what happens, and what I can see happening with a narcissist as they age, that mask that they're always wearing just slips so easily, more and more and more, where finally they don't wear a mask at all, and they're just this open kind of bitter person that kind of just lets it all out. And I think that, but we all know, and I've done talks on this, about how a narcissist does not change. So an aging narcissist is not all of a sudden going to be, well, I'm older now. I can't swindle people like I used to be. I can't get supply. Like I can't get love bomb like I used to because I don't have the looks or the body or, and, the young people don't want them anymore. Like, so they're not able to do that, but a narcissist cannot change. They still need supply. They cannot generate it themselves. So what they end up doing is kind of, for the most part, they end up switching into a victim role in order to get supply from anybody. And it could be playing the victim to get supply from, the doctors and nurses that are having to take care of them, and they'll be over the top with their aches and pains and problems with their health in order to get supply from the people that have to take care of them. And that's in their elderly, very like end stages of life. Like I can just see them over the top with being a victim And but if, you know, like, I'm actually fearful of a narcissist that would be a grandparent. um you know, I would imagine that if they are a grandparent, they would actually go, like, their children would be on to them that they're a narcissist, and have and not able to, and won't be giving their parent the supply. And you can kind of see the grandparent going after the grandkids, getting supply off them and start manipulating them and stuff. And it was just, that's a horrible thought, really, for me, you know, because they're never going to, a narcissist is never going to lose that feeling of entitlement for, you know, the attention of others, and for everyone having to give them everything that they need. They're always going to have that feeling of entitlement. But because they don't have the, you know, the arsenal of things that they used to capture it with, whether it be good looks or charm and things like that, or, you know, they're going to have to go about it differently as they get older. You know, and they're going to play the victim of, I've been abandoned by everybody in my life, and now, you know, I'm all alone, like, victim. But the truth is that they abused everyone their whole life until they couldn't take anymore and they left them, or they just drained everybody around them their whole life and now they're alone, right? So they'll be playing that that very much the victim. You know, and, like, I think that's why, like, money can be so important to a narcissist, not just because we somehow value or go after or want to be like all those people that have lots of money. If they have lots of money, they can probably still carry on their way of being for much longer, and that includes getting supply that is younger, you know, like, an older man, doesn't matter how old he is, if he's got a lot of money, he's going to be able to get a young wife, you know, because there's always going to be those women out there that they will endure any abuse from anybody as long as they get their private jet to jet them around in diamonds. And, you know, there's women out there, and I'm like, anyone who wants to deny that those women exist, I'm like, come on. I don't have to sit here and list them all. But so my ex-narc is he's almost 40, and his new supply, I believe, is 27. She's way younger than him, and she's 16 years younger than me. So, but the thing is, if he doesn't cement, like, her into and rope her into a marriage and having kids, this might be really his last shot to really capture someone this young, because he doesn't have the money. And even if he does get money, he'll go bankrupt, and then he'll have to rebuild it, and he's got this nasty cycle like most narcissists do. So, you know, that window of him capturing main supply and forever being able to draw from it, that window is rapidly closing on him, you know. And, you know, I should be grateful that I escaped it, because everyone says that all narcissists, they do not get better with age. They get worse. Every attribute about them being a narcissist gets worse and worse as they age. It's almost like they start to get more entitled for everything. And then they start getting more. If they were mean, they'll be even more mean. Like, you know, if they're very overt, a narcissist, they'll be even more, like, more grandiose and more, like, everything and all, like, the bad traits that they have, it'll just be amplified as they age. And so when you look at like, who a narcissist is at their core, and how much they value how people look at them and think about them, and how much they like to be looked at. And then, as society doesn't really care about, you know, the elderly people, like, people will care about the elderly if they're, like, your loving, you know, parent or grandparent. We care about those elderly, right? But if you just come across some old grumpy man, I mean, you're going to run away from that. And that includes every, facet. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in an old age home, okay, surrounded by other elderly, all the people around you are going to not want to be with you, and you won't be able to swindle or capture them anymore for supply. So at the very end, they're just going to lash out at any, and I mean any supply they can possibly get. So, like, the moral of like this talk really is kind of like, unfortunately, I have to giggle a little bit, because their end result at the end of their life is going to be horrific. Because a lot of people that are listening to channels like this, a lot of us want, answers, and we a lot of us just want to see kind of revenge. We want to give them a taste of their own medicine. Like, a lot of us got so hurt by them, when they were probably at the, peak of their narcissistic prime, where they captured us and turned us into their main fuel source, drained us, and then cast us aside to get new supply. And they, a lot of us were in that, in that cycle when we came across a narcissist. And we're all trying to deal with the turmoil of that. But, and something that we can all just kind of, I don't know, and I feel bad that saying, it's kind of satisfying to know that they're going to die crepit and alone, because everyone they've ever come across in their life got depleted and either cast aside, or they cast the narc aside. And in the end, a narcissist will be alone. And I think even if they have a lot of money, they're to be surrounded by people that are more fake than them, is what's going to end up with them. But if they don't have money, they're going to be utterly alone and not liked by anyone they ever met in their whole life. And and I'm hoping they'll have that realization. But so if you always think that, I wish karma would get them now, and you want them to taste their karma now, when you see them with the new supply acting all happy, or getting married, having kids with someone else, and things like that. But I gotta tell you, don't worry, karma will capture that narcissist in this lifetime. Not, some people say, you get your karma in your next life that you have to deal with. And like, no. Don't you worry. Karma will hit the narcissist in this lifetime, in their old age, and they will not be able to avoid it in any way. Because all the supply that they've had their whole life will not be there for them. And even their family members, every friend they've had, they will be alone and bitter and decrepit and devalued by society, no matter what they do and what they're worth. So that's the future of a narcissist, and they and they will, what goes around will come around with them. I have no doubt. So, and I can see it happening. I can slowly see it, my ex turning into that. And he's only halfway through his life. Because I gotta see, if he loses this main supply, I don't see how he can get another girl that's in her 20s. If he's in his, in his 40s and he doesn't look good, and it's just going to get worse decade after decade. And even if he can hang on to that main supply, well, think about the agony that they're going to go through and the horrific life that they have set for them. So do not be jealous of the main supply, and do not feel like, well, when is my narc going to get their karma? Or when, don't worry. It's all coming, and there's nothing that can stop it. It really isn't. So that's my take on what's going to be happening to them. And so I should remind myself to feel very grateful that I'm no longer in the clutches of the narc. And these are the types of things that I tell myself. When I find myself ever thinking about them and wanting, and thinking about the love bombing stage that I had gone through, I have to remind myself of the reality that he will face, and the reality any new supply he captures will face. So that's that's what I wanted to talk about today. Please leave me your comments. I love reading you guys' comments about the situations you're in, and so everyone else can kind of read the takes that you also have on the situation that you've been through, because we're all in this kind of together, healing post narcissist.